Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our free webinar from ATC Language Schools, Language Teaching in the Age of AI. Thank you very much for joining me today. Could I ask everybody to please mute their microphones if possible, just to avoid any interference from any background noise. This webinar is being recorded and the recording will be made available on ATC's YouTube page following the webinar today. And all the participants today will also receive certificates of attendance as well. A quick little bit about me before we get started. My name is Sarah Corrigan and I work with ATC Language Schools in Dublin in Ireland. I've been working as an English language teacher and teacher trainer for over 10 years, and I'm currently working as the Assistant Director of Studies and Erasmus Plus Coordinator at ATC in Dublin. A little bit about our schools as well. ATC Language Schools has been teaching English in Ireland for over 50 years now, and we have two great locations, Dublin and Bray, in the city centre of Dublin and also in the small seaside town of Bray in County Wicklow. We offer year-round courses for adults from around the world, year-round courses for juniors, and junior summer camps at 7 different locations across Ireland. We also offer a range of teacher training and development courses as well. And all of our courses are applicable for Erasmus Plus funding. Our webinar today is a little taster of our upcoming new course, Language Teaching in the Age of AI, which we're really excited to launch this summer. Before we jump into learning about how we can use AI in language teaching, I'd like to ask you all to take a moment to introduce yourself in the group chat, to let us know where you're joining us from today. I'm joining you from Dublin. I can already see that we've got one greeting from Estonia, fantastic. So I'm curious where everyone else is joining us from today. Everybody's feeling a little bit shy. That's no problem. Joining from Dublin as well. Great. Greystones, not too far from our school in Bray. Hi, Isabel. Thanks for joining us. Great. Also another Greystones. Fantastic. Also joining from Dublin. Great. From Brazil. Fantastic. Very welcome, and thanks for joining us. I hope the time difference isn't too much of a pain for you joining us from Brazil. From Spain, great. Dublin as well, fantastic. Thank you so much again to everyone for being here with us today. Okay, let's dive in. Today we're going to be looking specifically at an introduction to generative AI. And then we're going to look at some useful tools for language teachers and useful tools for language learners as well. The majority of the tools I'm going to show you from the point of view of an English language teacher or an English language learner, but the majority of them can be used no matter what language you're learning. As we only have an hour today, we cannot possibly cover everything under the scope of AI in education or language education. So I've chosen to focus on a more general overview, first of all, of the most well-known AI tool, ChatGPT, and how it can benefit language teachers and learners. We could do hours more on different topics and different aspects of AI, but this webinar is intended to be more of a general introduction to some of the tools you can use, but it really is only just the tip of the iceberg of the tools that are available and how you can use them. So before we begin, I'd like to ask you to scan the QR code that you can see on the screen. This will take you to a little survey where you can choose the option that best describes your current level of familiarity with AI tools. That'll give me a nice idea of where everybody is. Are we experienced AI users? Are we novice? Have we experimented a little bit, but maybe we want to learn more? If the QR code isn't working, you can also go to the website menti.com and enter the code that you see on the screen. That will bring you to the survey as well. So we'll just take a moment for everybody to do that, and gather the results and share them on the screen then. Okay. Okay, good. So far we have 2 quite familiar, 3 a little familiar, but I want to learn more. Good. 2 not familiar at all. Okay, great. So whether you have not used AI before at all, whether you have used it a little and just want to learn more, you're in the right place then today if that is your goal, because I'm going to show you how you can learn more about these different tools and how you can use them in your teaching, and also how your students can use them as well. Okay. So first of all, simple question, what is AI? Simple question, difficult answer. Artificial intelligence is AI, and it refers basically to a system that can do things that usually require human intelligence to do. So think of it as being like a digital brain that can analyze data, it can make decisions, and it can even learn from its own mistakes and its own experience and improve itself and improve its responses and improve the content that it creates. AI is not a new tool, it's actually already in many parts of our daily lives. If you, for example, use any of the programs or apps or websites that you see here on the screen, if you're using any kind of Alexa or Google Home device, that's AI. If you are using Facebook or Instagram or Netflix and it recommends a page for you to follow or a TV series for you to watch, that's also AI. If Spotify makes a playlist for you based on your listening preferences, that's also AI. Of course, for language learning, Google Translate and apps like Duolingo are already using AI for years. Google Maps uses AI to recalculate your route based on like traffic in your area. So it's already here, it's already a big part of our daily lives. So it's something that really makes sense for us to understand a little bit more about it, to understand how we can really harness it and use it as language educators. The type of AI that we are really going to be looking at today is called generative AI. So Google Translate, Siri, maybe Grammarly, if you've used Grammarly before, are all examples of generative AI that's based on algorithms that are predictive. And this type of AI can create new content. It can create text, it can create images, it can create music, videos, sound. And ChatGPT is probably the most well-known example of generative AI, which is specifically a generative AI chatbot. So how exactly can generative AI be useful for English language teachers? It's a really powerful tool that can create really high quality texts, images, lesson plans, educational materials, lesson content. You can use it for grading, assessment, feedback. You can use it for administrative tasks. It's really an absolute game changer in the types of things that it can create. But the key is in the details
Hola,
of
Santiago,
prompt.
¿cómo andás?
So
Muy bien.
When we're talking about
Santiago, te pido,
prompts,
te llamo para
the better, the more specific and the clearer your prompt, the better content, the better answer or response you'll get back from the AI. So being specific can really help you to create more relevant materials, things that you really need, things that you're looking for. So an example of not being very specific in your prompt would be plan a lesson on the past simple tense for A2 learners. With this prompt, you will probably get a basic outline that includes maybe an introduction to the past simple, a few examples, and an exercise. And it's a good starting point, but it might lack the specificity needed for engaging an effective lesson. So you need to give it more detail, you need to give it more information. So make it more specific. For example, provide a detailed 50-minute lesson plan on reviewing and using the past simple tense for A2 learners aged 13 years old. Use a communicative approach and include detailed examples. So with this more detailed input, the AI can produce a much more comprehensive and tailored lesson plan. So that's the first thing to remember. Be very specific, be very clear, and give lots of information in your prompts. Another thing to be aware of is that generative AI can improve over time by learning from the prompts and feedback it receives. So the more you use it, it can start to better understand the types of exercises and materials that work best for you and your students. So how will all this impact language education? English language teaching is actually the most common discipline for AI use in education so far. And British Council actually only last year conducted a study to see how are English language teachers using AI. So the most common things that teachers are using AI tools for, you can see on the screen here, to create materials, to help learners practice English, to create lesson plans, to correct learners' English, to grade or assess learners, and for other admin tasks. Today, we're going to be looking at tools to help us to create materials and to help learners practice using English. The types of tools that teachers are typically using are listed here: different language learning apps, generative AI, and chatbots. And these are the tools that we're going to look at today. We also have speech recognition software or text-to-speech tools as well, which we'll also look at. The integration of generative AI and speech recognition software is really a really powerful and cutting edge way that students can practice their speaking skills, their fluency, their pronunciation, just using their device. So despite the benefits, of course, there are still some concerns, maybe a little bit of apprehension or fear or even suspicion of using AI. Some of the most common reasons why teachers, more than half of teachers currently, are not using ChatGPT and other tools. Some of the reasons for that typically will be generally that they don't know how to use them, and they haven't had time to practice or try out using them, or maybe their district or their school board hasn't yet outlined any kind of policy on how to responsibly use the technology. But it seems like the top two most common answers are essentially, I don't have time to figure out how to use this, or simply, I just don't know how to use this. So that's what we're going to try and help you out with today. Before we get stuck into looking at the individual tools, I'd like you to take a moment to also share some of your concerns about using AI in the chatbot. If there's any reason that you're apprehensive or unsure about learning about this new technology or how you can use it. Maybe you're thinking about reasons why you're reluctant for your students to use it as well, of course, with the most common concern being cheating or plagiarism. So if I could ask you to take a moment to pop your answers into the chat box. What are some of your concerns about using AI? Okay, very good question, Louise. Does it mean the students aren't learning if they use AI? I don't think so. I don't think that AI is a replacement or a substitute for learning. It's a tool to support learning as long as we teach the students how to use it responsibly and critically as well, teach them about some of the pitfalls of AI. One common thing that can come up is the inaccuracy of AI. So we need to make them aware that they need to fact check and double check and not take it at its word. But overall, thinking of it more as another learning tool, the same way that people were suspicious of the internet when it first came in how easily we could find material as opposed to going to the library. It's the same kind of thing. We just need to teach them how to use it responsibly and critically. Then Alvaro, I find it appropriate for this new generation. I agree. They're already using it, so we should learn to use it alongside them to keep up with them. But some of the concerns, inappropriate material, absolutely. That's something that you can, of course, set in your filters or your custom instructions, whether you're using a browser or an individual platform like ChatGPT. You can limit the responses or make sure the responses are suitable for the age level of your students. Translations that do not allow for cultural context, absolutely, or literal translations. Yeah, everyone knows the danger of over relying on Google Translate when you're dealing with idiomatic language. It's not going to work out. So we can teach our students how things like Google Translate can help them with, direct translation of single words, but not of more idiomatic language. Okay. So we're going to get into the interesting stuff. 7 AI tools we're going to look at today. Different tools for language teachers and then also for language learners. So an overview of the tools that we're going to look at today. The first one being ChatGPT, how both teachers and students can use it. Then we're going to look at 3 tools for teachers, Wordwall, TWE, and Diffit. And then 3 tools for students, Mizu, Pronounce, and Quizlet. So we'll start off with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an AI tool that was developed by a company called OpenAI. It's an LLM, that's a large language model that has been trained to respond to questions and prompts using all of the data on the web. So, for example, instead of searching a topic in Google, you can ask ChatGPT a question and it will respond in conversational language like a chatbot. And it will create a new response each time a question is asked, improving on the response each time. So what can ChatGPT do for you as a language teacher? It can create lesson content, lesson plans, quizzes, practice activities, speaking activities, assessment rubrics, homework activities, writing activities, almost anything you can think of. It can also engage in interactive and informative conversations about any subject. It can provide explanation of complex topics, can give you some teaching tips, maybe help you with some research. But again, you must remember to give it very clear, specific, detailed instructions. So when you're talking to ChatGPT, when you're writing your prompt, the first thing to remember is treat it as a real personal assistant. And you can use direct language as well, like create a da 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 or write a da 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 da. There's no need to be polite. You can just use very direct language with it. Give it as much information as you can about what you want. And to add value to your prompts, you can actually ask ChatGPT to suggest what else should I ask to make this prompt more specific or to make this even more useful. If you are using a prompt and you get back an answer that's not really relevant or you don't really want to use, you can also ask it to avoid making that mistake again by saying, oh, can you tell me how to rephrase the prompt so that I get a better answer in the future? You can be really interactive with it and use it as the source to improve your prompts to get better information. You can also customize your instructions. When you log into ChatGPT, it's a really good idea to go up to customize ChatGPT and fill in the information that you need. ChatGPT will remember this and provide the same response each time. For example, ChatGPT has a tendency to reply in a kind of a stilted style with lists and bullet points a lot of the time. So you could include in your custom instructions, please answer in a conversational tone using a paragraph. Don't use bullet points and things like that. So some example prompts for language teachers that you might use: generate conversation starters for English learners at the intermediate level to practice speaking about daily routines. Provide vocabulary building activities for English learners at pre-intermediate level to expand their knowledge of idiomatic phrases. Generate speaking tasks for English learners at the intermediate level to practice giving opinions and supporting arguments. Develop grammar explanation materials for English learners at intermediate level, focusing on the present perfect tense. Provide pronunciation practice activities for English learners at the beginner level, focusing on vowel sounds. You can make these more specific as needed. You can also adjust your responses, remember, by saying, can you simplify this? Or can you rewrite this text for an A2 level? Or can you rewrite this text using C2 level vocabulary and things like that? So it's always ready to revise based on what you're telling it to do. One useful resource as well is from the website AI for Education, which is a collection of prompts that you can use based on what you're looking for. So whether you're looking for prompts about creating lessons or assessment or anything like that, this is a really good place to start. And you can just copy and paste the prompts from there. It'll also give you a nice idea of the kind of language that you should be using in your prompts as well. So we're going to go to ChatGPT and we're going to start using it to create lesson material. My first task I'm going to ask it to do is to create a text for my students. I'm going to ask it to very simply write a 400-word article about the pop singer Olivia Rodrigo. So let's go and do that now. Okay. So just to save a bit of time, I already pasted in the prompt ahead of time. Write a 400-word article about the life of singer Olivia Rodrigo. The level should be for B1 English students, and provide 8 comprehension questions, including answers. So instantly, I have received back a 400-word article about Olivia Rodrigo and her life so far, and the comprehension questions as well. But I don't want to stop there. I've decided that I want to change to true or false questions. So I'm just going to write, provide 8 true or false questions. And it will instantly give me 8 true or false questions. Of course, not instantly now that it's live in front of everybody. It should close some of these tabs, that's probably why. Okay, there we go. I think it's just a little bit slow because I have too many tabs open. It's normally much faster than this, don't worry. It's slowed down a little bit here. But you can see instantly it will generate the true or false questions for you as well. I can continue on and say, okay, now create a vocabulary activity, extract keywords from the text and create a matching activity where students have to match the keywords to the definition. I can then go on and create a speaking activity and say, okay, now create discussion questions based on the activity, or create a role play based on the activity, or create a homework written assignment based on the activity. Starting off with a text and then kind of seeing the different things that ChatGPT can do with that text is a really good place to start. It's just a shame that the internet has slowed down just a little bit. Otherwise, I could show you exactly what I mean, but it would just be a case of typing in the prompt. Now create a vocabulary activity. Now create a speaking activity. Now create a written assignment. And it will instantly create them all. And it's all connected to the same text that you originally created. You can also specify particular vocabulary that you want to include in the text as well, and it will work them into the story. So you can use ChatGPT to come up with a story, dialogues, grammar work, maybe grammar practice activities, or maybe a text that contains a certain grammar point that you want to work on, vocabulary work, writing activities, articles about specific topics, quizzes, songs, for example. Can you find me an example of a song that contains lots of phrasal verbs for B2 level? Um, Working with authentic materials. This is probably the way that I would use ChatGPT the most, which would be maybe copying and pasting in a newspaper article or a blog article that I want students to work with, and asking ChatGPT to generate activities that I can use, listening activities or vocabulary activities that I can use alongside that material, and it will do so instantly. You can also create your own speaking activities, which are a lot more personalized for students than the ones that maybe you're using in your course book. Things like information gaps and questionnaires that are much more targeted towards your students and their individual interests and level. Some examples of two more prompts that I've used. Create a story that has lots of examples of the present perfect with the adverbs just, yet, and already for B1 level English students, or find a song an English teacher could use for adults at B2 level to teach phrasal verbs. Students can also use ChatGPT. They do need to add on a Chrome extension if you're working with ChatGPT 3.5, which is the current free version. If you upgrade to the Plus version, voice control is already included in there. If you're using the newest version, which is ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0, then the voice control should already be included or integrated into the prompt. So you can show your students how we can use this to use ChatGPT for speaking practice. So I'll show you how we can do that now. Apologies in advance for my very poor Spanish that you guys are about to witness. So I've pasted in my prompt already. I'm an A1 learner of Spanish and I would like to practice my conversational Spanish with you. Play the role of a waiter in a Spanish cafe and only speak to me in Spanish. So down here, I've already got my plugin, my voice control plugin installed. So I'm going to turn on the sound. So it's asked me the question. Okay. Record. Quiero un café, por favor. And then it should send it. Again, it's being a little bit slow. ¿Qué tipas de pastel tienes? So you can see straight away how great that would be for students to practice speaking independently, to get a little bit of conversation practice going. It's not always great. Sometimes it picks up the wrong thing that you've said, or it doesn't quite understand what you've said. But in general, it works really, really well for speaking practice. You could also, you don't have to use the voice control function. You could also use it to have like a written conversation and ask it to maybe correct the mistakes that you made. I have an example prompt that you can see here on the next slide. This actually comes from the website Hadar Shimesh. And so some examples of prompts that you can use: have a conversation and get error correction and feedback. So you can see that the student has written, let's have a conversation and you will correct my mistake. And you'll see that the student has made the error down here and ChatGPT has corrected it. You can also ask for clarification on your error as well. Why did you say that likes should be like? And they provide the explanation for you. You could also say, ask it for suggestions, like, can you suggest some phrasal verbs I can use in this conversation, which would be useful for higher level students who are maybe preparing for exams and they want to kind of upgrade their vocabulary in speaking practice. You could also ask it to correct your grammar in a piece of written work as well. You can ask it to provide explanations and clarifications on the points that it corrects as well. So really, really useful for encouraging more autonomy in our students, for taking charge of their own kind of language learning and experimenting with it more so that they can become more active and autonomous learners. Of course, there are many, many tools beyond ChatGPT that we can use to create material for our students. One tool that I find really, really useful, in particular for vocabulary, is WordWall, which is an interactive platform where you can create really nice activities for your students. And I'm going to show you how you can combine using ChatGPT with WordWall. So I've asked WordWall initially to create an interview with Greta Thunberg for B2 level English students, which it did for me straight away. One thing that would be important to note here is that you can also have your students fact check this information as well, to make them aware of the times where ChatGPT can be inaccurate. But I did check it and everything is correct. So there's a couple of different things that I could do with this interview. I could create comprehension or true false questions or a vocabulary activity like we've already seen. I could ask it to jumble up the order of the questions and answers so that the students have to put them back into the correct order. But what I've actually asked it to do is to write it in a table with questions on one side and answers on the other, which it has done for me like this. So I'm going to use this table to create a matching vocabulary activity in WordWall. So copy and paste. You just need to copy and paste the actual questions and answers. You don't need to copy and paste anything else. Then I'm going to go to WordWall. Close my tabs as I go so I can get a little bit faster internet speed. So if you're not familiar with WordWall, this gives you an idea of all of the different types of activities that you can create for your students. You can use them in class. You can also send students the link. They can use them at home. So very simply paste what I've copied from ChatGPT, and it instantly creates this activity with the questions on one side and the answers on the other. And then I just have to click done, and it'll instantly create the activity, ready to play. So I can either play this in class or share it down here with my students. Once it loads up, I'll show you how it works. Let's hope it loads up quickly. Okay, it's quite text dense, but you can see that the answers are here and the questions are at the top. So the students would have to work together to drag the question down to the corresponding answer. And then when they're finished, they hit submit answers and get whether they were right or wrong. Oh, I was right. Well done. The next one that I'd like to show you guys as a really useful tool for teachers is the platform TWE. TWE was one of the first AI platforms that's specifically targeted towards language teachers. There are thousands upon thousands of tools that are targeted towards teachers, but this one is specifically for language teachers. So you can see over here, you've got your different categories of skills of what you want to work on and the different things that you can do here. For example, create a text, create questions, create multiple choice questions. This is a nice one here, create lead-in activities for a text, get the students talking about the text before they read it or predicting the text before they read it. This is really good as well. Simplify or upgrade your text. So in this case, you can have a text be instantly rewritten in a lower level or a higher level language. I think the most useful thing you can do with TWE though is use it with authentic material. You can convert audio and text, video to text, so it will automatically give you a transcript if you're working on, for example, a YouTube video or a TED Talk. This one is excellent, audio and video question creator. If you upload a video from YouTube, it will create a list of questions about that video. And it will also create this activity, choose the right summary, or this one, my favorite one, audio and video summary gap fill. So let's give it a try. It's an incredible tool to allow you to really work a lot more with authentic materials. One of the hardest things about working with authentic materials is kind of how do we create activities or appropriate tasks to go along with them, and this is how. So I have chosen this video here. Okay, so it's just a local news story about rubbish on the street. Copy and paste my YouTube link, go back to TWE and paste my link here. And click do the magic, which is a nice touch. So it instantly creates a summary for the video and also creates this really nice gap fill that you can give out to the students to complete as they are listening and working on it. It would also be a nice lead into working on collocations as well. And there is, in fact, a separate activity generator that you can do. If you enter a text or enter a video, it can create your matching word definition activities there, but it can also create a collocation exercise as well. It should be just down here. Yes, extract collocations from a text or from a video as well. So it's really fantastic, in particular for working with authentic materials. The final tool I want to show you for teachers then is Diffit. Which is all about differentiation. So it's just fantastic. You can search for a topic or a theme, set the level that you want. So here it is an American website, so we're going from American grades. But if you roughly correspond it to the age level of your students, you'll get the same results. So I'm going to use the same video that I used on the previous website, the video about the trash on the streets of Dublin. And then it will create material for me based on the level that I specify, which is great. A little bit slower again. Okay, so here is my video. Here is the reading passage, the summary, the key vocabulary words, the multiple choice questions, get student activities. This is what we want. Okay, so I can create these fantastic different activities to go along with the video. I can choose the level that I want as well. So it just works, it's even more tailored in a sense than TWE is, because you can choose more specifically exactly what you need based on the level, the needs of your students. So it's really fantastic. So I think the two of them are about the best tools for teachers at the moment. But if anybody has any other ones that they'd like to share, please pop them into the chat as well, because I think one of the great things about AI tools is that we're all kind of discovering them together. So if anyone has any recommendations, don't be shy and pop them in the chat. So we're going to move on now to looking at resources that students can use. And the first one is Mizo, which is another chatbot generative AI site, but one that you can use to create your own chatbot, specifically to give your students targeted practice on a particular function, a particular grammar topic, a particular, any topic that you want. So let's see how it works. I'm going to build a chatbot. I'm going to go AI generated because that will do all the work for me. Okay, so over here, I have a space to post my learning objectives, and I have a simple one ready to go here. I should have a simple one ready to go there. It's decided not to appear. Okay, I'm just going to type it, no problem. Students will practice ordering food in a restaurant. A1 level. I choose my grade, again Americanized, but let's go for 6th grade. I think that's about 12 years old. Okay, so here you can choose what type of activity you want. Do you want a dialogue? Do you want a role play? Do you want a quiz? I'm going to choose a role play. I can give a little bit more information. I can give my AI a name. He's called ChefBot. I'm going to change his name to Peter. I can upload, it'll generate a picture there, and you have a lot more options down here. You can do things like specify the tone, like is he friendly, is he rude, and things like that. But I'm just going to start it now. Press play. Record. I'd like to be the customer. Oh, sorry. I'd like to be the customer. I'm not sure why there's feedback there, but usually when your students are doing this, there wouldn't be feedback. I'd like to be the cutter. So I need to be clearer, or else it's just not great with Irish accents. Let's try again. I want to be the customer. Okay, perfect. Send it. Press play. I'd like some water, please. Send. So another fantastic tool for practicing speaking, maybe even better than ChatGPT, because in the learning objectives, you can specify exactly what you want the students to practice. It doesn't come up as slowly as it's coming up on my screen now. The reason it's so slow is just because there's a lot going on my screen and my laptop is quite small. But it would usually come up much faster than that. So it's a lot more interactive back and forth with the students. So absolutely fantastic resource for students there to practice speaking on very specific topics. You could even change your instructions to like a grammatical thing, like students want to practice going to for the future, something like that, and it will generate a chatbot that will have that conversation with them. The next tool for students is Pronounce. If you're searching for this, just be aware that the name of the website when you type it in is actually getpronounce.com. In this way, we're working on students' accuracy in their pronunciation and also allowing them to master fluency. The fluency one is kind of similar to the one that I've already shown you in Mizo. So let's look at read aloud. So they have a text here, a sample text that you can use, but you can also use your own text. So I'm just going to use the one that's already here as an example. The impact of space exploration on humanity's future. Space exploration has captivated humanity's imagination for decades. So the student records themselves reading the text. And then down here, you will get a little report on your pronunciation, on things you did well, and also on things you might want to improve. And I'm quite interested to see what it said about what I need to improve my pronunciation. You said space. You should say space, okay? Sometimes it's not very forgiving for Irish accents, but it will show you where you made the pronunciation mistake and give you a model of how you should correctly say it. So it's just absolutely fantastic for improving accuracy on those tricky words in pronunciation for our students. It gives you some more feedback over here. It gives you a score. It gives you the chance to practice your pronunciation again on the sounds you didn't get right. So let's try that. Okay, space. I'll try again. Space. I think my background is a little too noisy. One more time. Space. Okay, now I've got it right. So a really, really nice resource for working on pronunciation, for accuracy in pronunciation, even just using it as a tool for students to record themselves reading and listening back to it is also fantastic. And you've got the other option over here. That's another chat bot that works in the same way as ChatGPT and Mizu, that the student can have a conversation using voice recognition software with the chat bot. Here they've got the choice to choose different topics as well, and it will give them a report, some feedback on their speech, their vocabulary, and their pronunciation. So An absolutely fantastic resource again for students to work more autonomously on their speaking and pronunciation. Okay, so guys, that was the 7 different tools for ChatGPT or for AI that can help both teachers and learners. Before we finish, I want to very quickly show you 2 more emerging AI tools. I wouldn't be using them very reliably at the moment because they're still in the development stage and still not 100% accurate in what they pick up and what they say back to you. But AI moves so fast that if you check back on these 2 in just a couple of months, you'll more than likely be astounded at the progress that they've made. So this one is called play.ai. And again, it's a chatbot, a generative chatbot that responds to a conversation. But you have more choices about the different voices that you can use. So if I want to create a chatbot, I can choose the type of voice or the type of accent that I want it to have, from British to Italian to Australian to Canadian. I think Irish is in there as well. Yeah, Neve, if you want to have kind of a more representation of your own accent or local accent, or even providing exposure to different accents, that's really nice to use. The part of it that's a little bit scary is that you can also clone your own voice. If you click on this, it will ask you to speak for 30 seconds on a topic. And based on those 30 seconds, it will create a clone of your voice so that your students can talk to you using the chatbot. I've tried this a few times, and the reproduction of my voice was extremely accurate, but where it falls down in its inaccuracy is what it hears of what I'm saying. And again, that could be the Irish accent, that could be just like noisy background or something like that. But it will get better all the time. And it would be a really fun thing to do for your students when they're practicing their speaking with the chatbot, that the voice responding back to them is their teacher's voice or a voice of a different accent as well. The last one then is Lingolet. Again, another great, sorry, this is it here, lingolet.com. Another emerging one where you can practice conversation skills with an AI chatbot. So I'm going to try and practice Spanish again. It's the same idea. Okay, hold space on your keyboard and speak. Hola, estoy bien hoy. Mano. Did I record that? Mano. And then sometimes, of course, it just stops working. So like I said, they're still ironing out the kinks, ironing out the problems. But this is something that will also be a fantastic tool to use when it's a little bit more accurate in what it picks up and what it can hear. One more before we go, I've forgotten one, and that is Quizlet. Quizlet is a tool that I recommend to students for vocabulary practice, and one that I use myself if I'm studying another language or studying anything. It's a flashcard-based tool where you can create your own flashcards. You can also ask the students to create their own flashcards, because when the students create their own flashcards, there's a better chance of retention of that vocabulary if they make them themselves. So you create your flashcards and it'll generate tests, and it will generate a little practice activity for you to learn. So I'll just go to the test quickly to show you how that works. Gives you some filters. So you can choose what kind of questions you want, whether you want to answer with English or the first language. I think it's this one. I'll go through them all and choose the correct answers, hoping they're the correct answers. And then at the end, I'll get my results. So it's excellent vocabulary practice for your students, but also a really good assessment tool for you because you're able to see, what terms are we okay on and what terms do we need more work on, do we need more practice on. It's really easy to Oh no, I think that's wrong. It's really easy to set up, and AI will do most of the work for you. Let's see how good my Italian is. Okay, one incorrect, not too bad. It will do most of the work for you when you're creating your flashcards. I don't want to show you now because I'm just conscious of time, but when you go to here to create a new set, all you need to do is choose your language, your target language, and then your student's first language. If you enter the vocabulary terms in one language, it will automatically generate them in the next language. When you've got all the vocabulary you want, you hit save and it generates these flashcards. You can send the link to the students so they can practice them at home. You can generate instant tests for them to assess them in class. And they've got a couple of nice little games up here as well that you can use as well. Okay, so I think just under the wire of all the different tools that I wanted to show you guys today, let me just go back to my PowerPoint here 1 second. Okay. So we looked at using ChatGPT with WordWall, which is great for instantly generating really interactive activities with your students. Because the one downside to ChatGPT is that no matter what it creates, you still need to print it off. But if you copy and paste it into WordWall, it all stays digital and interactive. TWE, great for working with authentic materials, especially video. Diffit, also great for working with authentic materials, but more tailored towards making sure that the material it gives you is relevant for the level that you want. Mizu is where you can create your own chatbot so the students can practice a conversation with specific parameters on specific topics or specific grammar, whatever you want. Pronounce is the tool where students can read, be recorded, and get feedback on their pronunciation, and then have the chance to practice it again to improve it. The other two tools I showed you quickly at the end, Play.ai and Lingolet, are examples of emerging chatbots that are even more advanced. And finally, Quizlet, which is a really fantastic study tool for vocabulary. So hopefully you guys found this informative, that you learned something new about a tool that can either help you in the classroom or help your students in their language learning journey. That was just a small taster of our upcoming course, Language Teaching in the Age of AI, which is a really practical course with lots of examples of really practical tools that you can use as a language teacher. Before we go, does anybody have any questions? If you'd like to ask a question, go ahead, or you can type a question into the chat box if you prefer. Emily, good question. The upcoming course is in person. It's a face-to-face course, but hopefully we will be providing more online webinars in the future as well. So if you can't attend the course in person, then you could still get a little taster of some of the things that we talk about on the course. Oh, sorry, I think I missed Amal's question. sharing the activity by email. There's a couple of different options, Amal. If you hit share, when you make an activity in WordWall and you hit share, you can choose. If you use Google Classroom, you can post it to the Google Classroom. You can send it to the student's email. You can send them a link. It gives you a list of options for how to share the activity. Okay, so guys, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you again for joining us. Yes, I should mention as well the dates for the course in our school in Dublin. We have the course running from the 22nd of July and then again on the 19th of August. If anybody wants to find out more information about any of the teacher development courses that we offer, please go to our website, atclanguageschools.com, and you'll find all the information you need there about courses and dates and everything, because we have a range of different teacher development courses that we offer. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope everybody enjoyed it and is excited to go and try some new AI tools with your students. We'll post the recording of the webinar on our ATC YouTube page, so keep an eye out for that as well. So thank you very much.